Oh, content warning. This isn't any different from any other night as far as the rules go, but it is worth noting that I'm aware that Fellcayn's story includes references and allusions to uh, sexual assault and child abuse, and that's okay. And tonight, the sexual assault part will be behind a line. We won't address it at all, but I want it to be a part of her story because I think it's cool and it's part of who she is. The child abuse part will be behind a veil, so we're not gonna like have scenes where we describe that happening.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, the rest remains the same. We
I
start
didn't exactly ever like think I'd be role playing the backstory as I wrote it, so
right. Uh, the city of Athkatla, also known as the city of coin. It is one of the oldest cities in all of Faerun. The mercantile heart, the beating lifeblood of gold of Amn and Faerun itself. And every aspect of life in Athkatla revolves around money and affluence and commerce. And in fact, Amn itself, one of the largest and most powerful provinces or kingdoms in Faerun, is ruled by a series of mercantile houses known as the High Houses. And of these high houses, across the centuries, one has become the most powerful and influential of them all. Across recent centuries, the House Ali Bakar has holdings and companies across the Sword Coast, as far north as Neverwinter and as far east as the Dale Lands. And until recently, also, Ali Bakar was also the patriarch, Erlenthar Ali Bakar, until about, until the Sundering happened some 80 years ago, when Erlenthar died. And his son, Erlenthar Ali Bakar, anyways, he was a what's known as the Namarch. That is the ruling head of the high houses. And in so, he was one of the most powerful people in the world. What in the world? Roll 20 was crapped out on me. Is it working for you?
yeah, you actually just moved the entire background down into like the corner and part way out of the box.
I have no idea what's going on. Let me see. Oh, I know. It's because I'm cheating the system and Roll20 doesn't like it right now. Let me see. Let me log back in.
You're not supposed to cheat. Actually, that reminds me, I didn't really do anything to my character sheet for the sake of being youth. I don't know how to word that.
I have a plan.
Okay.
Used. Yes. I have an idea for that. Here we go. Is Athkatla again? Okay. Maybe this will work. Okay. So, anyways, the patriarch Erlenthar Ali Bakar died sometime around the second Sundering, several decades ago. He was the Messiarch and then eventually the Namarch of all of the high houses. he was an evil man. If it could be said of the kind of the patriarchs of the high houses, that isn't unexpected, but a particularly wicked man. And he made a wicked son. His son's name was Vargolm Alibakar. And Vargolm was not so successful as his father. And I'm actually going to have to try this again. I'm sorry, I'm having Roll20 issues. And he lost the seat of the Namark. And he became what they call the Pawmark, kind of named like for the bottom of a blade. And that is to say, the lesser of all houses. And for the last 80 years, the house Alibakar has sat in this shame. And it is said that Vargolm could not hide his vices that his father held, and did things, terrible things. Like many of the high houses, he did keep slaves, and many of them were elves. And the sounds of screaming could be heard in the halls of the house Alibakar one night, as an elven woman gave birth. And in her birth throes, an elven, as elves are sometimes known to do, she not only just screamed like a human or like a dwarf might, but she sung, and songs poured out of her. They were dark songs and threatening songs. And it's probably good that Vargolm did not hear his mistress Aletha in her in the birth of his daughter. Because Aletha sang of some powerful force of chaos coming into the realms. That it would undo House Alibakar, that it would upend the order of things, and that everything thought sane would be fallen, and everything insane could stand. And with that, and the child born, the child was taken away by elven watchers. And tonight, what I want to do is I want to give something in your past what's going to affect your present. So AC of 11, 4 hit points because you're a wizard. And then skill checks are +3, definitely for intelligence. And I'm assuming she's dexterous. Is she good at dexterity? I think you're muted.
I am. I realized that as soon as I was going. Yeah, let me. Yes, she is dexterous. Let me fuddle with things. Oh, we lost Thomas. That's okay. There's what I'm looking for.
So let's just do AC 11, 4 hit points, +3 for anything intelligence or dexterity related, -1 for anything charisma related. And that's all. And what we're going to do is, if you have pain inflicted on you, if you fail in something tonight, I'm going to take a point, like the points you lose, and I can use that during the game. I kind of got this from like Star Wars Fantasy Flight games, like the Force.
Okay.
If you win, you take the point, and you can use that in the game tonight.
Let me double check. I got it all. HP is 4, AC 11, +3 for int and deck stuff.
And -1 for
What was?
charisma. And this would kind of represent your traumatic memories afflicting you, you know? So if it comes up and you failed checks, I'll take a point from something, you know, like if you're trying to do a skill check or an attack or anything. But if you pass, then you get to keep the point. You can mark it down.
That'll work.
I didn't want to do advantage, disadvantage because it seemed too punishing. It seemed too powerful. Like what if you end up like, you know, losing a string of them? That would be really awful. So I just wanted to use points. Okay. So, remind us again, because I don't want to go over this. Fellcayn, she is now a teen. What is she like, and what does she look like? And how does she spend her days?
Growing audience is making me nervous. Well, per the rules set out before her, she spends her days mostly inside and out of sight. She is not a happy person for various reasons, and she's pretty much short with everybody, although she tries to be less so with elven peoples because they don't treat her like crap.
Yeah.
That's kind of my best description there.
Yeah, the slaves are kind to you. Yes. So your father,
Your father.
Vargom Alibakar, has basically commanded that you stay out of sight, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And in these times, like you're staying out of sight, there is a library that you can access, obviously. What kind of books did she enjoy? And what books do you remember specifically?
I mean, there's not really a specific type. If it's something she hasn't read, she wants to read it, and if she's already read it, she might read it again.
There is no
Books and
specific
books.
type. No genre of books, history,
Yes,
nonfiction.
she doesn't learn about that favorite type of genre until much later on, when some creepy DM drops a copy of the Lady and the Orc in her path.
So it wasn't a favorite growing up. Okay.
Unless it was a series. I guess it could have been a series.
Okay. So she reads everything. Okay, fine. What are her duties from day to day? Or does she have none, except simply to stay completely out of sight and locked into this mansion?
I'm going to go with the latter because I literally never gave it any more thought than that.
Okay. All right. You said that she goes to the library every day.
Mm-hmm.
How much time does she spend there?
Unless somebody else comes in and she's either avoiding them to avoid people or avoiding them because it's somebody she's supposed to stay out of the sight of, then as much time as possible. I mean, probably all day.
Okay.
I've been known to skip meals when I'm focused.
One day in the library, as you're perusing, let me move to the library. You're perusing the books on the second floor in an alcove. You notice that there is a door, like a cupboard, covered in cobwebs and untended, but ajar. This door in the past, you've probably noticed it, has been kept sort of like a cupboard or a cleaning closet or an access way for servants. You've never seen it opened, but it's always been locked. But today, it's ajar.
Well, there might be more books in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and just give it a little shove.
You give it a little shove and it just like swings a little more open, about 2/3 of the way into a dark place without light. And why would it matter that there are more books in there?
Because more books is always a good thing. More books, new books, fun books.
All right. Yeah, the door just kind of opens about 2/3 of the way, and you see a dark place. It's not lit.
All right. Is there any way I could like immediately access like a candle or something for light? Well, wait, no, I'm still a half elf, so I still have dark vision. So never mind. I'm just gonna go in slowly.
Okay. As you start to go in, you can hear outside your father. What are your interactions like with your father?
Best to be avoided.
He's not in the
That's
library, but he sounds like he might be demanding your presence from someone. Or at least an accounting, like where is that, that halfling runt?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going in.
Where is that pudgy halfling runt?
Yeah, that sounds accurate. I'm still gonna keep going in.
You go inside, and you do find books. You find 3 rows of books, and you begin to have a sensation that raises the hairs on the edge of your ears. And you're not sure what it is yet, but you see 3 rows of books in the dark.
Is it like an exterior sensation, like on the skin kind of thing, or like an interior feeling?
Like the hairs are raising up, the fine hairs just on the backs of your ears.
Yeah, but like, is the feeling that's causing that reaction like an external feeling or an internal feeling?
Like an external feeling, like your spidey senses, like something weird is happening.
That is one version of how I was going to describe it. Do I feel like somebody's watching me?
And we can make our first check for the night. You can make an insight check, but because it's wisdom, you would have a +0. You have to beat an 11.
13.
13. And that
I'm rolling it real.
You can hear the sound of your voice, or your father's voice, growing louder, and it sounds like he's approaching. You don't have much time to try to find anything in here before you need to get out and close the door, unless he is to find this place and find what you found. But before that happens, you think you hear whispers, and that is the source of the small hairs, and you can get a point. I'll mark it points. So you get 1 point. You hear whispers. Something speaking to you. And
are they possibly coming from any of the books?
They are. Do you go toward the sound?
I want to try and figure out, I want to try and get the book that's whispering and try to sneak it out under my fat.
Yeah.
Hide it amongst my gut.
Yeah. You run to the back of to the rows of books, 3 rows of books, and there's an alcove in the back, and this one has a portcullis, and there is a book chained beyond it, and that's where you're certain you hear the whispers. But it would be very difficult to try to get the book. You could try. Very difficult. I would say it'll probably take I'll say it'll take an 18, and it would take dexterity to do it. But you also
Someone
have
is bearing down on me, so to speak.
you have the 3 rows of books. You could try to get one really quick. But if you stay in here long, he may discover you.
I am just gonna like look at the whispering book longingly and say like, I'll come back for you. And then I'm gonna rush out and try to. I want to try and like improvise a way to get the door to keep from locking before he gets here, so that I can get back in.
Yeah. What? Well, tell me. How would you do that?
It kind of depends on what's near the doors. I mean, is there any like household stuff, like a candle or something, or a torch I could fucking steal the wrappy parts of, maybe?
This library is dedicated to Ogma, a false piety, since no one actually cares. And as such, there's a niche in the wall, and there's a little wooden platform. You would have to try to destroy it, and then jam the door on your way out.
Do I have anything on me that I could destroy it with?
It would just take like a strength check. Like you would have to rip an old piece of like a niche for venerating Ogma, the god of knowledge.
All right. I'm gonna give that a go.
All right, make a strength check.
15.
15. Okay, wow. You can take another point, and you jam the door, and you come out, and your father is furious, and he's like, "You wasteful little runt. When I ask for you, you should appear at once."
Oui, papa. I don't know why I'm suddenly speaking French.
He hates that. I do too, but he hates it. And we can't say the awful things that happened to Fellcayn that day. Not entirely unusual in the course of her life. The pain that she endured. But the day passes. And you get your hit points back. And it is the next day. And as usual for the most part... roll a D100 twice.
That one I actually need roll 20 for. 59 and 60. Wow.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. The next
The whole
day,
story of Parabor is reset because Fellcayn died in childhood.
the next day, your father and his wife, the Duchess, they had to settle the marriage of one of their full-blooded human children, a legal issue that was affecting some unrest in a distant town, and so they had to go to court, which emptied out a portion of the mansion for the day, of many different people, kind of uncles and aunts, all wicked people that are all human and have mistreated you. And it would have been a quiet day when you could have returned to that alcove in the back of the dark room again.
If only you didn't roll like shit.
If only the second roll hadn't happened. And what that is that someone was left charge of you by Vargolm, and Elitha is not here. In fact, you never see your actual mother. It's like the what do you call the person that manages the house? I I can't remember.
Major Domo.
Major Domo. Thank you. Yes, Major Domo. Like the Major
I had no
Domo
idea.
of this property was sort of given charge of you. By the way, your name. I should mention that it is. Where is your name? I have it here somewhere.
My name?
Yeah, your character's name.
Fellcayn?
No, that's not what it was. I can find it. It's right here on this one too. Blah blah blah. Her name was Nia. Nia Ali Bakar.
Oh, that's what, like, Fellcayn's human name? What?
Yeah, that's her. That's like
okay.
her name. You don't remember writing that?
I don't,
Yeah.
but, that was forever ago.
Yep. So that's what she's known as and goes by Nia. And anyways, it would have went okay for Nia if the Major Domo had not been left charge of her. To, in the words of Vargom, do whatever was necessary for all in the estate in his absence. And of course, the Major Domo is also a wicked man. And the children of Vargom are wicked, and they attended him to court, and they took some food from the larder, which prevented an audience from being provided for an important visitor that day. And so, of course, the Major Domo, seeing Nia's portly appearance, blamed her. And once again, you're in the library. You've made it from your room, have a moment of peace, and you can hear someone else screaming Nia on their way.
I will.
It seems that you have limited time, even again today, to try to find something in the room.
I mean, have I even opened any of the books yet so far?
You have not opened any of the books.
Is whose voice is like? Can I tell whose voice is calling for me?
It's the Major Domo. He's a human named Morrowan.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess I'll just. I will waste a few minutes trying to figure out if there's a way to open the portcullis to the Whispering Book.
You feel almost a hunger as it whispers louder. You can tell as you look through the portcullis that the book is this weighty, heavy book covered in dust and bound in some and probably silver and steel. It is a valuable thing, and you probably only have time to try to grab one of the other books on the shelf because you can't seem to figure out how to get to the book in the portcullis.
Will a quick look through the stacks alert me to any that might be beneficial to improving my situation?
You find a book written in, and you do speak Elvish, right? Elven?
Yeah.
Okay. It's written in Elvish, and it promises to teach magical secrets of the power of frost and ice.
Sweet, I get to be the Ice King. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try and sneak that one out with me to read later.
All right. You run out with that, and terrible things befall Fellcayn that day under the cruel tutelage of the Major Domo. She escapes it not even in her father's absence. But you do have the chance to look into the book. And inside the book is a... and I don't have it here. I guess I never put it on here. Oh well. Inside the book is all sorts of arcane formula, which doesn't make sense at first. But once you have time to return to the book you've hidden, you can try to decipher what these different series of sequences of formula and symbols mean.
Yes.
And to do
I mean,
so, you find that the roof serves that purpose well at night, where you sacrifice sleep to be able to look at the book under candlelight. And uninterrupted on the roof where no one cares, where Nia has gone, you can try to decipher it if you do if you want to. It would take an Arcana check, which would be in intelligence.
Wow. 15.
Wow. Okay. You get another point. I'm starting to regret this. At least we're not doing advantage, disadvantage.
Look at how those hundreds went. Yeah.
So, in short order, you're able to read the symbols and arrange them in an order using the words and symbols, and it causes your hand to erupt in ice. And you accidentally fire it at like a nearby chimney, which part of it like explodes in an icy explosion.
If anyone asks, I will blame terrorists. Or rebels, whatever's at hand.
How does Fellcayn feel when she discovers this late that night, as the sun rises after much practice and no sleep?
Malicious. She feels malicious.
Like she might like to use this on someone, perhaps.
Someday.
Okay, crap. I didn't write the, let me see here. Blah, blah, blah. I want to make sure that I get it right, because there was, I'll leave it up to you. I can't find it. Okay, so, the same thing happens. Obviously, at this point, Fellcayn has found an access way to power. And perhaps a way to change the situation she's in. And so the next day happens. Roll 2 D100.
I'm going to use freaking real D100 stuff, because that was just a horrible electronic roll, and I'm not into that. Alright. So, 30 and 86.
I'm going to duplicate this so that it's easier to look at. Oh, that's terrible. I should feel bad for Fellcayn. Like, Fellcayn had it rough. This is what this is. Okay. The next day, something terrible happens to Fellcayn. Her relatives come home. You had hoped that you'd have some reprieve from them, what with the important court business and the travels. However, it seems that something interrupted their travels, and your father, Vargolm, and your stepmother, the actual matriarch of the house, have returned with their wicked children and many relatives to torment you. It seems that one of his nieces has decided to, what do you call it when you sneak away in order to do something romantic? Has left to try
Tryst?
a what?
A tryst?
A tryst, yes. Has disappeared upon a tryst. And with not the best, what do you call it? The best
The most
blood.
well-intentioned of suitors?
Not the best blood of a suitor. Not what they would have picked. And so this drove them back home. And what's worse for Nia is that they had planned a celebration for their truly awful and wicked son, Eden, and it was going to take place outside of the estate, which would have been a huge relief. But no, now the entire estate has to be directed entirely towards trying to kind of dote on the birthday of one of his sons. And it is a coming of age party. And the manor is like caught up in preparation for this, and they force you to work when instead you could have been learning this new power. And you could have accessed the books and tried to find a way to that book in the alcove. Unless you try not to. But otherwise, you'll lose a point, and it's going to delay the time. It'll take some time to finish the celebrations.
How do I try not to?
I don't know. You tell me.
Like, you mean like just kind of like avoid being caught so I can't be put to work kind of thing?
You could try to do that. You could try to malinger and try to get out, get away that way.
I don't know what malinger means.
Lingering around in a bad way, not doing work, like not doing your work. You could try to trick your way out of it somehow. You could use your new magic somehow at the celebration itself to cause some embarrassment.
Yes, I think I would like to practice my magic while I work. Because given we're in a desert climate, there are going to be people with either skin showing or robes. And I feel like this could create some very PG-13 comedy movie humor if I do things like freezing some of the chairs as I set them up.
You freeze the chairs of all of the ladies for the event, and it is a absolute disaster, and no one can understand what has happened. They simply, some people begin to fight as they insist that their chair is too cold, and then other people are blaming it on each other, and fights break out, and the coming of age party of Eden is utterly ruined.
I very much want to do my best to keep a straight face so I don't become a suspect.
Yeah, you do that. You haven't had time today to visit this little alcove, but in the library. But you still have night. However, if you do it tonight, you will take a point of exhaustion, so you'll have disadvantage on checks.
Did I still lose a point for doing the work?
No, you tricked them and practiced your magic. So
I will not go tonight because I don't want the point of exhaustion.
Okay, roll 2d100.
I literally was just holding that. Where the hell did I put it? There. Okay, do 17 and 57.
Today, when you wake up, you're relieved that the celebrations have ended. It actually takes some time. I suppose that's one downside to it. It's a week of celebrations, and you're exhausted but relieved that it has ended. And the manor has returned back to their usual routines of stabbing one another in the back and generally just being horrible to everyone. And Nia, now that the celebrations have ended, you have receded back into obscurity. I assume that you go to the library at this point. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. On the way, you hear two people talking. And one is the captain of the guard. And he is speaking somewhat respectfully, but somewhat backhandedly, like a backhandedly respectfully, if that makes sense, like double talk, to
Oh, that dress doesn't make you look as fat as usual.
right to Alabakar's wife. And he is complaining essentially that for the security of the manor, she must move her section of the parade ground that is covered in vegetable gardens, and that she's transformed into a royal flower garden. And that is a parade ground where he trains and houses his troops for the manor. And you hear a slight threat that he knows who it is that she truly loved. That is to say, the niece that ran off on the tryst, and that it was in fact her nephew. That is to say, an incestuous relationship.
I am going to take that information and keep it in my pocket and sneakily continue on my merry way because I don't want to get roped into that.
Okay, you sneakily continue on your way, not getting roped into that, and you go into your dark room, and the whispers are stronger than ever from the book.
I want to resume my search around the room for a way to open the portcullis.
Okay, you see 3 rows of books with very fine shelving, and the books are very old and very well bound. Many of them are in languages other than Common, Elven in particular. It's clear that they are all magic books. Obviously, you found it to be a struggle to take the time for each book. You've sort of finally met your match, so to speak. Like the books have been the only thing Nia has had, and now you found something that is actually a challenge. A single book is taking your effort. And all of these books are like that. But yeah, nothing is going on outside that would prevent you from trying to break into the alcove.
That's what I'm gonna do then.
How are you going to do that?
I mean, is there any like obvious way to open it, like a lever or something?
It is a locked portcullis that requires a key, and then the book is chained to a stand.
Okay, is there anything like a blunt object that would be heavy enough to, say, shatter something frozen?
That's a good point. If you spent your time, I would say that very early on, not having necessarily mastered the spell, there's a chance that it could go wrong. But otherwise, yeah, it would just take time. It would take like all day of trying to use the spell. You also have a whole room of basically spell books.
Are they at least labeled properly, so maybe I can try and find a spell that would work for this situation?
You can try to find them. It would be another Arcana check.
I will do that.
The problem with magical texts is they're often unique to the author in various ways. And this is something that Nia would not know, but you're starting to realize as you look through these texts.
I got a dirty 20, by the way.
Nice. You find the following texts. You find Magic Missile, Mend, and Mage Hand, and Identification. You have no idea how to actually do these things, but it's clear that these spells, this power of magic, could grant you the power to do this. If you could find some way and find the time to practice this magic, you could probably find some way to overcome the portcullis.
I would like to try and spend the rest of today sneaking these books out so that I can practice them to later implement them.
Where do you try to put them?
That's an excellent question.
On the roof? But I guess somewhere on the roof.
I mean, not just like on the roof. I'm thinking somewhere near whatever method I use to get on the roof. I don't know if they have like roof access. Do they have like
Sure.
ladders in desert places to access the roof from the inside?
Yeah, you probably have like what is an old guard access where it's used through a trap door, and you have two trap doors with a ladder. It probably is old stone with just straw, and then a wooden ladder. So the old guard tower for a keep tower that's no longer used would be one place to hide them.
Is the floor of such a place still wood?
The floor is made of stone, like the greater structure of the mansion, but the trapdoor is made of iron banded wood.
Well, I was more thinking of, because I wouldn't want to just like hide them plainly under straw. That would just be silly and obvious. Is there any part near the roof exit area that is unused, like heavily dusty, cobwebs, that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would like to try and hide them in or around an area like that. Like if there's a crate with nothing worthwhile in it, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you do that. Okay. I will do one more of these, but it's safe to assume that Fellcayn has found a way. You now have a series of magical tools, but you need to get there and practice them every night, somehow get enough sleep, and somehow not get caught by your wicked relatives. And that becomes the challenge every day. My question is, how do you use these magical tools? Mage Hand, Identification, Magic Missile, Mend, and Ray of Frost. How would you use that to try to destroy the portcullis or overcome it or get the book or whatever?
First, I would use Mage Hand to push the book behind the pedestal it's on to avoid damaging it, because I'm going to freeze the portcullis and magic missile that shit into pieces.
Okay. It takes months for you to try, without a tutor, without anyone to teach you, a magical language that is unique to the author of each one. And you begin to hear the names of things like Elminster and Mordenkainen, and you hear of these names, and you begin to understand, it's without even a teacher, how this sort of thing works. Roll 2d100. As the day approaches, when you decide you're about to attempt your risky maneuver to try to overcome the bonds of this thing and get this book.
79 and 59.
79 and 59. 79. Actually, I'm going to put it up at the top. And 59.
Oh, and did I get a point for my Arcana check?
Yes. So you now have 4 points that you can just add to separately tonight. Like, I want to add one of my points, you know. Okay. Stealing food. Same thing. The Major Domo is furious once again today, as he thinks the portly Nia has stolen food from the larder again. It's not true, and you know it. The other thing that you hear today is that the wife of your and you've come to call him the monster, right? Vargolm, in your diaries. God help you if they're ever found.
I believe so. Well, even if they're found, I mean, I doubt he speaks Elvish. I imagine I've written it in Elvish to avoid exactly that scenario.
Probably. Or your own cipher. which you probably intuitively, learn to do. Anyways, the monster is once again furious as well, and you discover from the staff, the slaves, the elves, that there's a special flower that grows annually that is a symbol of the unification of the houses of Alabakar with his wife's house. And that flower cannot be found this year. And the local church of Chantea is saying that that is a bad omen. And he has tried to use his connections to find one of these flowers, and cannot. And it has put him into a sour mood. And you find the major domo informing that Nia, that dumpling of a half breed, is sneaking into the library all the time with food, and it's bringing pests, and never mind the fact that we can't keep food in the larder. And the monster Vargolm is furious, and you think this beating might be your last today if you don't figure it out today. I'm sorry, that was supposed to be behind a line. I just said it though.
Like, get the book and get out today. This is do or die moment.
Yeah, you feel like this may actually, he might want to hurt you really badly or kill you.
All right, well then now would be the time to get the book and get out.
All right, you can attempt an Arcana check to bring those spells together and do your thing. You got to beat an 11.
And then I could just like add a point to what I'm doing, or
yeah, actually, if you wanted to do that, you would lose one of your points for the night. But yeah, you could do that. You got 4.
Okay, but I'm not gonna do that because I rolled a 12 anyway. So
okay. Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, you. So describe what it looks like when you. Well, you did describe it. You use Mage Hand to hold it up and then put it somewhere, and then you used Magic Missile to blast open the portcullis, and you're able to access the book. And all of a sudden, you begin to. The whispers become a voice, and darkness billows out from you around you like smoke, and you hear the whispers coalesce into this voice. Let's see. It says, another hopeful wizard. You have found one of my books. And it's just a voice in this darkness that's talking to you.
I just kind of awkwardly wait for him to continue. Like,
oh, and it's a woman's voice. I just can't do a woman's voice
her.
very well. Yeah.
But it's kind of like a yeah, no shit moment, and just like waiting for the conversation to move.
You know, I can't help but to have noticed the pain that ekes out of you, my dear. As you have probably already seen, with knowledge, there are no limits. With enough knowledge, you don't become harried by foes any longer. With enough knowledge, death itself could be beyond you.
Okay.
I would like to meet you. Any wizard that could study the arcane words of Mordenkainen, of others, written in magical cipher across multiple books, that could survive what you have survived. My dear, you are talented indeed.
Kind of getting the sense that they probably want to do something crazy like steal my body or kill me.
Dear, I don't want to kill you. I have no interest in that.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that. I was just thinking that.
She reads your thoughts. That's easy.
Oh, damn.
Please,
Okay.
don't take this sinister approach as any malcontent on my behalf. In fact, I don't wish you ill will, but I also don't really care. I'm just very curious and interested. And I know you are as well. I can offer you this power. I can teach you how to use magic. I can teach you things beyond what you can imagine. Your family would no longer be a threat to you or anyone else. If you're interested, I wait for you at the end of all worlds and at the beginning of time. If you make it there and survive, I'll have a deal for you. But in the meantime, please, accept my gift. And the darkness disappears, and the book becomes a blank book. And it is a spell book that you can write in and put spells in.
All right, I'm definitely gonna seek out this crazy lady because apathy and curiosity are definitely better than open aggression.
You are able to escape with these powers combined in the book. And you make your way into Alm. Hunters, bounty hunters, authorities on your back. Able to scrape by and survive as you continue to practice your powers on your own. And as you gather information and you try to learn and study these things, you hear the names Mordenkainen again, and you hear Elminster, and you hear things like the Red Wizards of Thay and the Arcane Brotherhood and the Tower of Candlekeep, and all of these places of immense magical power and learning. But you now are no one, whereas perhaps you could have been in Ali Bakar before. You are simply nothing but a portly half-elf now, and just trying to survive on the streets with magic tricks. And that's how you begin to make money, eventually, is when your magical talent, far enough away from home, that doesn't attract the attention that you don't want, begins to find work. But inroads into something like Candlekeep or the Red Wizards, you can't find. No one cares. So, and you're kind of a nobody. So, that kind of puts a kind of like a barrier to be able to find more magical power and spells and learning and stuff. Until one day, when you're in a tavern, you hear a bard enter the tavern and begin to sing a song. He sings a song, and I'll sing parts of it. Once upon a time there was a man, a wandering soul, lost in the realm of our kingdom. And this goes on, and then at the end of it, there's a line that goes, there at the world beyond worlds, the time before times. And then there's a few other lines. They say there is a prophecy of this fated kingdom, the fourth of its kind. A lady high in her tower, tower of books of great mind. And then it ends with the line again, like, there at the world beyond worlds, the time before time.
Okay. I mean, I'm just gonna flat out walk up to him and be like, "Hey, where's that?"
Oh, hello, miss. Did you like my song?
That depends. Do you know where it's talking about?
Well, of course, miss, I know what it's talking about. I am a traveling bard, you see, and I gather tales wherever I go.
She just kind of like waits for him to actually answer the question. Like, I've already asked it twice. Kick my foot right into something. Oh. Yeah, this is going to kind of be a stare down for a minute here.
It's just awkward.
Now she's going to go with the obvious thing, and she's going to hold up money in one hand, but also in a hand much closer to him, hold up like a dart of magic missile to make her point.
I'll take that.
Yeah, maybe if you actually answer the question first. Yeah.
I see. Well, there is a place. In fact, I barely survived. Travel to the northeast, a path into the forest. Wide at first, narrowing and winding, the high forest, where the great tree once was, and the path leads to a place where few go and fewer return. And there is a magical school by a great elven master of teaching named Ilaria Fellcayn. And that's what the song's about. Well, they say there's a prophecy about the place. Terrible things started to happen. I could see the signs, and so I left, made it out. But they say that it will be destroyed. An elven prophecy, anyway.
Yeah,
I'll take that now.
Like out of character. Have I ever heard parts of that before escaping the house?
No, but it's impossible not to have heard the line, the world beyond worlds, the time before times. That's where the voice said to meet her.
Yeah. So I'm going to take my shiny coin that he wants so bad and throw it straight up and grab it with mage hand and then just leave it floating there and walk away.
Yeah, until you get out and then your concentration.
Yeah, until until it breaks and just be like, good luck getting that.
Oh, she is hard to deal with. He puts the coins in his pocket and sings another song to the bar.
There's just this tiny voice in the distance going, "Yeah, I want to hear that from the guy begging for money."
Let's see. And that's eventually how you found your way to Ilaria Fellcayn and her school of magic, where she was deeply impressed with your abilities. You were her star and maybe final pupil on that last.
Maybe. Like everyone else is fucking dead, as far as I know.
As far as you know. But anyways, what was I saying?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you are. You have one of your dinners after one of your training sessions with Ilaria and Lucas, the half-orc bard, who's making fart jokes and lewd comments, and Ilaria is handling it quite gracefully. And the awkward and nervous kind of and sometimes rude things coming from Perrin, who this other half-elf that excels at illusions. And that is when Fellcayn wakes up. in a dark, dark place. Um, with her friends almost dying nearby. Just before she's ripped magically from that place, the thought you can't help but, you know, Alaria is dead. Alaria is dead. But this voice claimed that it could teach you power and to even escape death. So the question is that Alaria?
I was actually going to ask if I ever connected the two.
You never, I mean, yeah. Well, anyways, that is the end of Fellcayn's thing.